Good morning everyone and welcome to our YouTube channel. Today I'm going to take you into linguistics and going to introduce a very famous concept in pragmatics, which is the implicature. But before we start guys, let's first take an overview on the concept of cooperation. This is a very important point in order to understand our today's lecture. So basically, the concept of cooperation is an essential factor in speaker and listener's interaction. It is what the listener expects to hear from the speaker, and he is supposed to convey true statements and say something more than what is required. This is how a good conversation occurs. Now, when we talk about the cooperative principle, we refer to Grice. Paul Grice have introduced a concept known as the cooperative principle. This concept describes how people achieve effective communication in common social situations with a set of forms that dictate the speaker and the listener's conversation. Now, Paul Grice have set maxims. This is how a good conversation occurs. Paul Grice have set 4 maxims of conversation. We have the maxim of quality, the maxim of quantity, the maxim of manner, and the maxim of relevance. Now, let's explain each maxim briefly. Concerning the maxim of quantity is to give enough information, but not too much. The maxim of quality consists on being truthful and to base your contribution on evidence. In the maxim of relevance, you have to stay relevant to the topic and not dive into it. Finally, in the maxim of manner, you need to be clear and avoid any ambiguity or obscurity. Now, what if someone doesn't observe one of these maxims? What would happen to that conversation? This is the non-observation of maxims. As I've said, sometimes people do not follow the maxims, and this can be violated, opting out, or it can be flouting the maxim. Now, let's explain them. In violating, the speaker is lying without hidden meaning. If we consider this example, when you ask someone, "Are you angry?" he will respond by no, although he is. In opting out of maxim, the speaker doesn't want to cooperate. We've got a conversation between a doctor and a patient. If we ask the doctor if he can tell us more about our friend, he would answer, "I'm sorry, I can't tell you anything." So here, the doctor is unwilling to cooperate. Let's concentrate more on flouting the maxim. In flouting, since it is the most important of Grice's maxims, here the speaker violates maxims expecting that the listener understand the implied message. If we ask someone if he loves English, he would say, "I would not jump into it," but he wants to say no. We can flout the maxim of quality. If we want the speaker to understand that implied message, as it's the case in this example, even though the weather was not sunny, we said that it was. We can also flout the maxim of quantity. And here, the speaker won't give us enough information, so that is the case here. So the friend talked about the t-shirt, but how about the hair, the makeup, and the look in general? He didn't give enough information. In the maxim of relevance, for example, if somebody's knocking at the door and the listener would say, "I'm in the bathroom," we will understand that he's busy and it's our duty to open the door. And finally, someone can flout the maxim of manner. And in the maxim of manner, we've got a quick example. A father is telling his son to go and take the DOG to the WALK. Here, the father employed a weird way to give this order by spelling the word dog and walk into DOG and WAK. Maybe he thought that it was time saving, although it is more time consuming and it is not a brief way of giving orders and of saying things at all. Now guys, we have arrived to the essential point of our lesson. Flouting a maxim gives rise to implicature. And when we recognize an implicature, we draw conclusions and we understand what the speaker wants to say. So we understand meanings. Implicatures in English are divided into two types. So we've got the conventional and the conversational. As you can see, the conversational itself is divided into three types: the generalized, the particularized, and the scalar implicature. Let's explain them briefly. The conventional implicature is mainly based on the conventional meaning. So it do depend on words like both, yet, however, after. In this example, he is young but wise. We just understand that although the speaker is young, he is wise. So there is a kind of opposition and concession right here, even if the speaker didn't say it clearly. In the conversational implicature, on the other hand, the speaker says something but doesn't mean it literally. So there is a hidden meaning that we need to understand and we need to grasp it according to the context of this sentence. If you ask someone, "Do you want to go out with us tonight?" he would reply, "I'm tired." We just understand that the speaker wants to say no, so he won't go with us. As we have seen, the conversational implicature is divided into three types. Let's explain them. The generalized implicature is loosely context-based, so it doesn't refer to specific context. This type is always triggered by the use of the article a or an. If someone says, "I killed a man," the use of the definite article here, a, means that he killed a man among many others and not any man. So here, it's not specific at all, it's generalized, as its name indicates. On the other hand, we've got the particularized implicature. Here, it is the opposite of the generalized. It is strongly context-based. And instead of using the indefinite article a or and, we use the definite article the. So the final type is the scalar implicature. As its name indicates, it is based on the use of scale values, or what we call measurements. For example, most, some, few. In this example, some of the students came. We just understand that only few of them came and not all of them. So here, guys, we've arrived to the end of our lesson and our presentation. I really hope you learned something from it and that you enjoyed watching it. And I really advise you to use implicators while talking. This would make for you a better native speaker. Thanks a lot for watching.